My name is Arun Jagtiani, and I'm a proud St. Martin. In a few short weeks, our country is going to be heading to the polls to elect 15 new members to Parliament, and I think the entire voting population could benefit from knowing a little bit more about who these candidates are. Over the next few days, I'm going to interview a few new faces and a few political veterans. So join me, St. Martin, and let's talk politics. Welcome to another episode of Talking Politics with Arun Jagtiani. I'm your host, and I'm joined today by the number 8 candidate on the National Alliance list, none other than Ms. Solange Ludmila Duncan. Ludmila, it's great to have you here. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Arun. It's my pleasure to be here. Excited and looking forward to this interview.
Fantastic. Now, if I remember correctly, this is your second time contesting a parliamentary election.
Yes.
Your first run was just after the passing of Hurricane Irma, another snap election that was not popular with the community, but nonetheless we needed candidates to run and you stepped up to the plate. You fell just shy of making it into Parliament, but with the recent shift in Parliament that took place a few months ago, you have now earned your seat into Parliament, and you're actually the youngest female in St. Martin's history to ever be sworn into Parliament. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
So my first question really, I have to ask, what did you learn on the campaign trail the first time? You did eventually make it into Parliament, but maybe fell a little short in that. What did you learn from that experience, and how confident are you that you're going to secure a seat this time around?
Well, I enjoyed it. I mean, it was a tough time entering politics right after a major hurricane.
Sure.
But there's something about small island life in politics that I actually love. I love the fact that we are supposed to touch as many people as possible. So it was quite an experience visiting many homes nightly and speaking to hundreds of people about what their problems are and why they should put their trust in me. It was quite an experience, but I really enjoyed it, and I said, this is it. I've actually dreamed about this opportunity my whole life.
Okay.
And so for me, it's just a blessing.
So what inspired you to get into politics? You mentioned it's something you were dreaming of. So was this a move you were kind of calculating for many, many years in the making, and then you saw the opportunity? What inspired you to take that step and throw your hat into the race?
So growing up in my family, politics was actually what we discussed every day.
Every day.
So it's in my blood. And I actually have come a long way. In high school, I was a shy girl. I was one of those persons that wanted to raise my hand in class, but I couldn't. And so once I went to college, I realized that if I am going to be a leader of this country, I'm going to have to build myself in such a way that I can stand firm on the day that I do enter politics. So I joined the debate team, I've been a Toastmaster, and I have worked in government for quite some time now.
Wow.
To say that I have the knowledge, the expertise, and the skills to be a member of Parliament.
So you mentioned you've worked in government for a number of years. In what capacity? Can you give me some background on that?
So in a few months, I will make about 10 years that I have been a civil servant as a policy advisor. Okay. So I've been a policy advisor and senior policy advisor at the Ministry of Justice, at the Ministry of Education, Culture, Youth and Sports, and also the Ministry of TIAT.
Wow,
Yes.
Okay. Oh, pretty broad resume.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you're the daughter of Mr. Roland Duncan, one of the most high-profile attorneys on island. Very well accomplished individual in so many different areas, and also the former Minister of Justice. So I guess that's why we're getting the politics talk at the dinner table on a How much influence did he have on you making a decision to go into politics?
So a profound influence. I use a joke where my father never allowed us to have Nintendo. What he bought was strategy games and city building games. I have been playing city building games my whole life. And so this concept that the government has the power to change the lives of its citizens and to shape the way in which a country is built, of course is what is a part of who I am. My mother as well, as a popular teacher and principal at the St. Martin Academy, has also had a profound influence on me. So education, politics, and public service is something that is a part of who I am.
Wow. Okay, I know we were speaking off camera, and I think I think my brother was a student of your
Yes,
mom's.
he was.
Yeah, okay, small island.
Yes,
right? Small island.
yes.
Now, you also have some teaching background, or you've also touched into, can you give me a little background on that, on your teaching experience?
So I recently became a marketing instructor at University of St. Martin. So it was an opportunity for me to give back my knowledge. I do have a bachelor's degree in business administration and marketing, and then a master's degree in development management. So for me, it's important to use my knowledge. So I am using it in government, but I wanted to give back, especially to students that are coming out of high school.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's been fun.
Interesting, very interesting. So when you were giving me your background, you said 10 years now as a civil servant. You've worked for 3 different ministries. Is there a particular ministry that you have more affection for, that you feel like you are a better fit, or that you see yourself working in the future?
Well, I enjoyed each and every ministry that I worked for. They were very different. At the Ministry of Justice, I worked for immigration in particular. So I helped to build the visa department. I had a very good relationship with the Dutch embassies around the world, and forming policies on admittance and entry to St. Martin, which is extremely important. At the Ministry of Education, besides different policies on education, one of the things I am most proud of is after Hurricane Irma, ensuring that each school had a school safety plan, and we made sure that there were emergency management training workshops for the schools, because we know moving forward, climate change now has shown us that hurricanes are going to be...
Yes, it's the reality of where we live. Right.
Yeah. So, and at TIAT, I only spent a few months at TIAT, but I learned a lot about tourism and how important it is for us to build our economy and diversify. So for me, I have love and affection for all the 3 ministries. Yes.
So let me ask you, if elected into Parliament this time, what are some of the issues you would like to champion within the community, or in general? What are some of the issues that you feel very passionate about?
Okay, so if I start with education, we need to adapt and revise our curriculums at both elementary and high school level.
Yes.
Of course, tertiary education is extremely important as well. I believe in innovation in education. New classes and new ways and methods to teach. I also have a strong affinity to community development. I have been a member of the Cahill Community Council. I'm from Cahill. I'm going to be there my whole life. And after Irma, we saw the need for strong councils to be supported, because we need to take care of ourselves. You know, our people can't be dependent on government. And if each and every community and district is strong, is properly organized, they can participate in policy making, and they're able to manage resources themselves.
So do you see government playing a role in creating these community councils, or is this something you want the communities to do on their own?
So it's a two-way street. So I would like communities to, if there are no councils in the community, to get people together, and we need leaders in the community. But for me, a key piece of new legislation that needs to be developed, and which is something that I will be championing, is the creation of councils as public bodies.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. What does that entail? I'm forgetting.
So instead of just having a community council as a foundation in terms of its legal structure, turning them into public bodies, let's say like not necessarily like an SFA, but that they receive subsidy from the government, that they have a strong legal position and can.
So they have some teeth behind the policies they create.
Yes, and then they can even receive funds to manage the resources in their own community.
Okay.
Yeah.
Something else I know you mentioned that you were passionate about was after school programs. We have a society where it's a lot of dual income households, so both parents are working, and it's a real challenge for parents as to what their kids are doing after school hours, and that could be some of the most influential hours in a child's upbringing.
Yes.
Talk to me about some of your ideas on.
So in tying it to this idea of community development, after Irma, I walked around my neighborhood and I saw that there were a number of children around that were extremely bored. There's no technology and they don't know how to climb trees like we know how to climb trees.
This is true.
So for them, so they were going crazy. But what I also saw was a number of teachers in my neighborhood who were also at home at the time. So what I did was I created what I call the community school. I asked teachers to volunteer, and I literally walked up and down the neighborhood asking parents to send their children to my house to get classes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you did this after
Irma? Yes.
So you had like a voluntary school at your home?
Yes, and we got...
How many students?
It was about 30, because our yard was filled with children, so we maxed out at about 30, and then the Prime Minister, former Minister of Education at the time, Severi Jacobs, she pushed to get schools open pretty quickly, so the schools were open after that.
Yes.
So there's this concept that there are persons in the community that can volunteer, or if they're just given a small stipend, would help out. You know, we look out for each other. So
well, it takes a village to raise a child, and we really need that mentality to raise the generation that's coming up, right?
It just takes leadership. With leadership, people will follow, they will assist, they will give. That is one thing that I know.
So speaking of leadership, now that you've thrown your hat into the political arena, what influenced you to join the National Alliance? There's no shortage of political parties in St. Martin, as we know. So what led you down to National Alliance?
So two things. I believe that a National Alliance is a party of integrity and a real love for the people. Because for me, it's all about people. This country would not be where it was today without the everyday person on the road. So the party is, yes, more so socially conscious, but right now we have so many fresh young candidates with a love for St. Martin, but also with the knowledge and expertise to change St. Martin. So that was what attracted me to the party. It's also the party that my family has supported for a very long time. Yes.
Very, very interesting. Yes. So, what are your thoughts on the political instability that we've been experiencing? It seems like we've been plagued with. How important is political reform moving forward?
It's extremely, extremely important. What we have is a system that we have inherited, right, from the Netherlands, and it doesn't fit who we are, but how do we change it? I'm actually planning to present a policy paper on electoral reform because I believe that there is no quick fix. We really have to just look at it and ask ourselves, what do we want? So in particular, Article 59 has been used
too often.
Elections, yes. And so what is the alternative to that? Do we put some criteria on when the Prime Minister can use Article 59 after Parliament uses a vote of no confidence against the government? Or do you say, you know what, take the power away from the Prime Minister, and if the MPs want new elections, then they call new elections. So we have to ask ourselves, what do we want, what would fit, and then make the changes that are necessary. Eventually, I would love to see the whole system be reformed, but for now, the biggest issue has been no confidence against the government, and then the government
exactly. Yes. So if you could reform the entire system, in a nutshell, what would that look like if you had that power?
I have been leaning towards the Westminster model in the sense that I believe in district representation. So again, I would love to be the representative for Cahill. Why? Because it is my community, and my neighbors can hold me accountable for what is going on in that community. I think it's pretty difficult for 15 parliamentarians to be responsible for the entire country when there are so many things going on. Simpson Bay has different issues, St. Peter's has different issues, and so forth. So I do believe in a more system of district representation.
Okay. Something you mentioned earlier that I want to go back to real quick. You talked about as well education reform. What are some of the things you believe are really needed in our education system, and where are we falling short in terms of preparing the upcoming generation?
So Arun, I think you are like a role model, right? I think we need more entrepreneurs on St. Martin. We need to develop entrepreneurship and to really teach and instill this idea of creativity, innovation, but also self-sustainability. If our people will become more self-sustaining, I think that is the common this economy would move forward. So teaching finance and entrepreneurship
Sure.
at high school, I believe, would make a huge difference.
Critical. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you as an entrepreneur, one of the biggest challenges we face, and I think I'm speaking on behalf of definitely all small businesses, all service-oriented business, is tax reform. The tax code, from my perception at least, and I think, again, I speak for a lot of business owners when I say this, the tax code feels unfair, it's outdated, and it's demotivating to a lot of people's entrepreneurial spirit. Any ideas, any thoughts on how we can improve our tax system? Or
of course, reform is important. So income tax definitely needs to be worked
more friendly.
on. Yes, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Again, I believe in incentives for entrepreneurs.
Okay.
And helping small businesses to grow and develop, whether that it is exemptions from certain fees, lower tax rates. Is something that needs to happen. You mentioned that our laws are outdated,
yes.
And that is something that I am extremely excited about having the opportunity to adapt, because it is so necessary. If we can adapt our laws, we can make and see some real change.
Interesting. So you also spent some time in the Ministry of TIAT. Tourism, we all know, it's the backbone of our economy. It's the bloodline of our survival in so many ways. Hurricane Irma taught us so many valuable lessons as well of how important tourism is, right? When it was taken away from us, you miss your water when the well runs dry. What ideas, where can we improve on our tourism product? And how can we improve the positioning of our destination? It's a competitive field. Especially in this region, right? There's so many other places with sand and sun.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on our tourism product?
So I believe we are unique. We are extremely unique. What we are too is, I think we're like a city. Remember, kind of like the New Yorkers of the Caribbean?
Or the B's in the Caribbean, okay.
And so if that is who we are, then a vision needs to be created. And I think we lack that vision. You know, who are we? And then let's embrace who we are, because sand and sun really isn't enough. So urban development is important. And then, of course, taking care of our environment. I think right now that's a huge issue.
Yes.
So I believe that we should go more green. Of course, that.
So that's easy. It's easy to say we should go more green.
Yes.
And when you bring up the environment, the first thing that comes to my mind is the dump.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that? How familiar are you with, I guess, the solution or ideas? There's been so many different proposals I've heard, but I've seen none actually put into play. What are some of the hurdles with creating a long-term solution there, and what is the long-term solution in your opinion?
So I call the dump a national crisis. And if it is a national crisis, I think no one would ever say that it's not a national crisis.
Right.
If it is, then it's impossible that one ministry is responsible for finding the solution.
Fair, okay.
There's the Ministry of Rumney. Yes, the Ministry of Rumney.
Sure.
However, there's TIAT. It's an economic issue.
It's a tourism issue?
It's a tourism issue.
It's a health issue.
It's a health issue. So there's the Ministry of VSL. So
Yeah.
there's 3 ministries involved. The Ministry of Education in terms of research. What is everyone else doing? So I believe that.
Well, that would be even justice, because it's become a legal issue now for government, right? They've been taken to court on this issue.
Exactly. So everyone needs to be involved and come together to find the solution. There are a number of proposals on the table, but I believe that the first step is having everyone on the table to review those solutions and then choosing the right one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my thought, or question I've always wondered, won't it be better to just export the garbage? I know there's a lot of talk of waste to energy and all these. I think that's the one that you hear the most, and various proposals on these different waste to energy plants. But my thought on that is, we're in the tourism business, and we should have businesses that are complementary to tourism. garbage is not complementary to tourism, in my opinion. So we should be looking to export.
Yes.
Just curious, what are your feelings or your thoughts on that? Or
no, I agree with you, because the local population alone hasn't created or hasn't gotten landfill to where it is now. Because of the millions of tourists that come in.
Yes.
That is why we're in the state. And because of
we shouldn't be importing garbage. We should be importing tourism business.
Yes, no,
right.
we have to get rid of it. We have to get rid of it. Because we also do have limited land. What are we going to do?
Very true.
What are we going to do?
That's prime real estate.
Yes,
yes.
Yes, I agree with you. I agree. We have to get rid of it. Why? Because it's too much and we do not have the capacity to handle it.
Sure.
Yeah.
So we touched on the fact that the dump kind of involves all ministries,
yes.
right? There's something else, or another opportunity, I believe, that involves all ministries, and that's the cannabis industry.
Yes.
It hits on every ministry from one angle or another. What are your thoughts on that? Are you in favor? Are you on the fence? Or really against it?
I'm actually in favor of it. I'm
okay,
in favor
interesting.
Of, yes, it's a new industry. I believe that we have a prime opportunity, especially as a hub in the region.
Sure.
And we have the Dutch model already for what a cannabis industry would look like, or a new economic model. So I believe that it would be very easy to create the legislation.
I believe so.
But for me, policies are where the complexities would have to be looked at.
Right.
So creating the legislation, we can do that, but then how does a cannabis business operate? How do we deal with the
that's a whole conversation.
Yeah,
that's a whole other conversation. That's an interview on its own.
Yes, yes.
Okay, but you are definitely in favor. You're not.
Yes, and would be championing legislation to open it up.
Very, very interesting.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Ludmila, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you. In conclusion, I'd like to give you the opportunity to speak directly to the voters and send whatever message you want. The camera is yours. In closing, please go ahead and talk to your possible voters.
Well, thank you so much, Arun. On January 9th, I ask you to put your trust in a new, young, fresh face. I just became a member of Parliament, and I have been working all my life to be a leader that St. Martin can be proud of. I have the knowledge, the expertise, and the skills that will allow me to work extremely hard and to execute for this country. I am number 8 candidate on the National Alliance. My name is Solange Ludmila Duncan. Join me on Facebook, follow me on Instagram, and you will see the ideas that I have and the solutions for the issues that we have on St. Martin. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ludmila, for sitting with us today. It's been an absolute pleasure. I enjoyed learning about you and some of your views, and I hope the audience enjoyed it as well. So thank you guys very much for tuning in. That was the number 8 candidate National Alliance list. We've got a lot more coming for you. Stay tuned for the next episode. My name is Arun Jagtiani, and I'm a proud St. Martin. In a few short weeks, our country is going to be heading to the polls to elect 15 new members to Parliament, and I think the entire voting population can benefit from knowing a little bit more about who these candidates are. Over the next few days, I'm going to interview a few new faces and a few political veterans. So join me, St. Martin, and let's talk politics.